Hello and welcome. You're very, very welcome to our third Student Enterprise Programme live broadcast. Welcome.
3, 2, 1, 0.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, there's our intro. Gets me every time, that music. Tonight's broadcast is going to be a masterclass delivered by Caroline McHale. No matter. It's for teachers and for students, and it's on market research for student enterprise. So that's what we're talking about this evening. As mentioned, delivering tonight's masterclass is Caroline McHale with a very special guest. That special guest is the brilliant, experienced student enterprise teacher, Dervilla Casey from Summerhill College in Sligo. So those are our guests. And if that's not enough, we also have another special guest. I'm going to give you a hint to see whether you can figure out who this guest might be. Here. Did you guess? Did you get it right? We are joined by a gentleman who is not only won over one dragon, he won over two dragons. In fact, he even won over three dragons. And that's Sean McGarry from a company called ShowerGen, who got offers in the UK's Dragon's Den of 3 investments. We'll be talking to him a little bit later. And as if that's not enough, we will be announcing the winner of our Student Enterprise Programme social media competition for teachers and for students a little bit later. So that's all coming up in today's show. Let's jump over to the green room and meet our guests. So let's say hello to them. We have Caroline. Caroline's preparing busily for a masterclass. And we have Dervilla Casey. Guys, you're very, very welcome.
Hi, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Big hello. Are we all excited about this evening?
We are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Brilliant. So let's get this party started, as they say. And let's go over to Caroline McHale, who's going to kick off her amazing masterclass. No pressure, Caroline, on market research. Okay, Caroline, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Good evening, everybody. And tonight, our class is actually on market research. I suppose before we commence, we would just like to set the scene by stating the learning intentions. We would like students to know and understand market research, understand what a questionnaire is, and more importantly, value the importance of market research. And I suppose when we're beginning, we'd assume sometimes that maybe kids know about research or students know about it, they may not. So we would start with a very simple question. What is research? And the definition for research is all about looking for information on a specific topic or challenge in order to get facts and knowledge about this particular topic. And I suppose then we would carry it with maybe a little exercise. If I wanted to know all the products that Coca-Cola do, what I could do is go to coca-cola.ie and I'd look and see all the different products that they actually offer. So that's research. But then if I was in the classroom and I was thinking of changing the drinks in the tuck shop and I wanted to know what my students were interested in, what drinks, I might ask them the question and bring in some cans of drink. Which do you prefer, Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, or other? And you could get some really good statistics. You might find in a class of 30, 90% liked the Coca-Cola, and maybe just 10% went for the Diet Coke. And in actual fact, you could have some really good fun by students maybe saying, oh, I prefer the Coca-Cola, but blindfold and see, do they even notice a difference in the taste? And this is the beginning of telling you what research is, researching information that's already there and using it, but also doing your own research, which is really important for the Student Enterprise Awards. So we looked at research, but from an enterprise perspective, what we're talking about is market research. And market research is the gathering and analyzing of information related to the product or service. And then you use this information to make your up-to-date decisions. You might decide to change your product, you might decide to change your price, change your name, change your brand, etc. There are basically two types of research. You have desk, where you can be sitting here in Balmullet at your desk and researching away. And secondly, you have field research, which you go out and do the research like a questionnaire. Think of the Coca-Cola. My desk research was where I was sitting at my desk and looked up the products that Coca-Cola offered to their website. My field research was actually where I posed the question to the students, which do they prefer, Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Light? And I came up with my own research. Let's go into a little bit more detail. Desk research, known as secondary research, what you're doing there is sourcing information that's already out there. And there's so much information out there. You could source it from social media. It's amazing the amount of information. If I want to buy a new phone, I go online and check what people are saying about it. You might go to your Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, etc. If I'm looking for research, there's so much available. There's bloggers, there are people who will give their view, they will rate it, etc. Government agencies give great information, like the Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation has some really good research and development. I suppose the Department of Health tonight will have a lot of research for us for the morning or later on. Newspapers, magazines and reports can give really fantastic information. You might read a report on sustainability and decide this is where I get my information for my product or service. And the Central Statistics Office is just a mindful of information on population. They do beautiful infographics. And actually, you could go in there and nearly spend the full class researching, but you probably don't want that as well. I just found out this evening, I was researching names that only 5 people were named Caroline in 2019. So I'm going to make a product. I'm definitely not going to be putting the name Caroline on it. And this is desk research. Then we have field research. And field research involves you going out into the marketplace, interviewing, questioning your consumers or customers. Things like questionnaires, which is a list of questions, and Dervilla will be going through one with us. Observation. So what you start doing is you're observing what are people doing, what they're doing rather than what they say they're doing. Again, you need very good communication skills for that. You might decide to do some personal interviews, telephone, online interviews. You can listen. You can decide to add more time to it. Also, consumer panels. I might decide if I'm doing a hockey holder that I would ask a panel of students who are involved in sports to actually give me some research and help me with the decision in making my product or supplying my service. And also you have postal surveys. So basically, there are the two researches, desk and field. So next you go on to, we try to break everything down into achievable steps or achievable chunks. Firstly, you'll decide now on your objectives for market research. It might be about a particular brand, like we talked about Coca-Cola. It might be on students' perceptions. It might be on attitudes, experiences. Then you decide, how am I going to collect this information? Will it be questionnaires? Will it be online? So what I'm talking about there is the two types, the desk and the field. Carry out the research, and we would recommend that you at least do one field and interview maybe 40 students or others. And most importantly, you analyze the data. Do I actually need to do more research? Have I found out more information about my competition? And then you plan ahead with your product or service. And then really important is actually you need to frame your research. What enterprise am I starting? Is there information already out there about this enterprise? Who are my consumers? I need to know something about them. I need to know, do they buy online? Do they buy in the local markets? Are they health conscious? What age group? I really need to know my competition. And what does the competition offer? And can I do something that little bit different or that little bit better? I need to decide on my price. What will the customer pay? And what do I have to give with this? Will I be able to calculate what might my potential sales be? And what will be the costs involved? And our advice to students is ensure to log your learning. And this will make it very easy then coming in the end when you're compiling your actual report or your poster plan. And now I'm going to hand you over to Dervilla, who's going to talk to us about questionnaires. So over to you now, Dervilla.
Okay, there's a brilliant question that's just come in, so I just want to ask it to both of you guys before you get into flow, Dervilla, if that's okay.
Yeah.
It was about influencers. So it's a guy called Marvan. Sorry if I mispronounce your name, Marvan. He says, can't social media influencers be biased? So are they actually trustworthy to research for your business and to use that information? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think in using any kind of research, you always have to be cautious. So while you would take on board what the influencer says, you would do your own research as well. And that's why we always recommend to do field research too. What do you think, Dervilla?
Yeah, I would say it'd be really, really important. Like a lot of these influencers today are paid. So they're paid to be seen with a certain product, with a certain brand in front of them, so that they're packed and they're in the newspapers and they're online. So just because they use a certain brand, they may not always, I suppose, be the best representative, and they may not kind of be putting the best message of that brand out there. So just be really careful, everything tongue in cheek, and do your own research, see for yourself.
Yeah, so there's a bit of common sense involved there, is actually just kind of looking at really how influential they really are, and who they're physically influencing. Just because you have 1 million followers doesn't mean there's 1 million people actually even listen to you. So I suppose by all means look at them, but make your own call and use a bit of common sense there. That's great advice. Thank you so much. So now my next challenge is to see whether I'm going to remove Caroline. I'm going to see whether I can find if I can find the slides. I'm going to be a virtual clicker now, Dervilla. So the research questionnaire slide. Can we see it there?
Great, thanks, Greg. Hi everybody. Before I even begin to move on to the next part of the content, the questionnaire section, I think that I need to emphasize how in today's really fast-paced society that market research has never been as important. And to be honest, it's probably one of the few times that I would ever say to people, don't trust your gut instinct. You know, no matter how good you think your idea is, and we all think that our idea is the best idea that we have, you actually owe it to yourself to thoroughly investigate its market viability. And that's why we carry out market research. So not only do you want to find out if there's a gap in the market, but more importantly, you want to establish if there's a market in your gap. It's that old saying, teachers say day in, day out in the classroom, but there actually is a lot of meaning in it. And this applies to everybody, from the first timers on their student enterprise journey to the top global companies that we have. Because remember, the market will judge your product. So you want to make sure that you get it right. And we really need to be aware that consumers today, they don't think how they feel. They don't say what they think. And they certainly don't do what they say. So you need to make sure that you've researched properly and that you're really confident that you're producing a product or maybe providing a service that consumers not only need and want, but more importantly, that they will actually physically go out and buy. So there are many reasons why market research is important for you, for your product, for your brand, and for your company. Firstly, it'll tell us if there is a market for your product or service. So again, and I said it there a minute ago, you think that your idea is amazing. It's the best one. Nobody else comes close to you. And then everybody's going to rush out and buy your product or service, but that may not always be the case. You know, a very simple example, last year, one of my students started making homemade energy balls, and we're giving them out to their friends, the neighbours, the family, getting lots of really positive compliments and positive feedback. And I suppose for him, it was enough to kind of entertain the idea of starting a mini company in school for these pirate balls. But, you know, I said to him, before he does that, how does he know that people will actually pay for his product? And really, is there a market for them? And the answer is market research. It will tell you that. Second reason why market research is so important is it will help you as a business owner make the right decisions by bringing products to the market which will meet your consumer needs. So you really want to be able to get into the heads and the minds of your consumer and find out what they really think about your product, your logo, the name of your business, your price, your location, etc. And I suppose it'll help you identify what is critical to quality for your customer. What is it that they really value from your product and that they really want from your product? And thirdly, it'll tell you all about your market profile. So it'll help you identify your target market as well as the market size. And you're really interested to know, is your market for your product, is it growing? Is it remaining static, or is it shrinking? And if it's the case that it's shrinking, move out, move on. Creating and identifying a customer profile for you is also a really important outcome of your market research. So you should be able to know who your customers are in terms of their age, their gender, their income, their tastes, their lifestyle, their spending patterns. Get a good understanding of the type of person who makes up your customer, what motivates them. And it'll also tell you who is not buying your product, and that is equally as important. You know, if somebody's not buying your product, your market research might tell you why they're not buying your product, and you can take that on board. You can adapt to your product and hopefully get that customer as a new life customer for you. Unique selling points are really important because your market research will help you identify that. And I suppose at times it'll help you establish customer reactions to your product if you give them sample, packaging, price. And I suppose the really important part here as well is that you need to realise that market research sometimes will give you an awful lot of information about your competition. So where are they located? What are their unique features of the product? What are the prices that they charge? How well are they doing? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And lastly, and this is the most important one, it will save you money and it will reduce business risk by stopping the development of your product in the first place. If it's not likely to be viable in the marketplace, don't spend your time, your money, your effort. It would be a complete waste. For a lot of people, the easiest way to carry out that market research is to get some valuable information by creating the questionnaire. And this is what we're all about. So if you're really serious about success and you want to be the best, you need to do primary research of some type. And this means collecting some data of your own. And for most of us, you know, the trusted questionnaire is the option that we all go for. And yes, it is more time consuming, but I suppose, trust me, it'll save you money in the long run, because what it allows you to do is narrow down your audience, get the information that you're actually interested in. So just to recap, and I'm really conscious that some students watching here tonight may not be familiar with the words market research or questionnaire. A questionnaire is simply a list of questions. And these questions can be written, they can be asked person to person, face to face, by telephone, online. And our students, and I know the vast majority of them, and my own students included this year, will probably opt for using an online questionnaire platform, given the COVID-19 restrictions. So we're talking about the likes of SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. I would use Google Forms in my class because we are a G Suite school, but you can also use others. They're all free, they're all available online. Jotform, Line Survey, SoGo, any of those will do. They all do the same job essentially. I think you can go to the next slide there. Are you on it? Right there, you're heading there. Tips for developing your questionnaire. So what should you be putting into it? The success of any survey lies in its response rate, I suppose. And the response rate itself depends majorly on how effective your survey is in terms of the questions that we ask and the way that we create them. So I'll kind of give a few tips that I would always say to my students. Tip number one for your online survey, I suppose, this year, make sure you put a title and a description on it. So what is the purpose of your research? And I know that this seems obvious, but the amount of times that I've been asked to fill in a questionnaire only to put pen to paper and start and then realise I've absolutely no clue what this questionnaire is all about. So be transparent, always include an intro outlining why you're conducting the research first of all. Number two, always remember that your data will only be as good as the questions that you ask. So spend some time on the question part, put a bit of effort into it. A poorly written questionnaire is going to lead to poor data. So ask the right questions, decide in advance what information you require, and then build your questions around this. And I suppose if you go to the student checklist, maybe I think page 20 in the workbook this year, you're going to find the student learning log there, and that will help you frame your research and then sit down and brainstorm the questions for your questionnaire. For example, let's say that you own a chocolate company and that you want to know the tastes of young chocolate consumers between the ages of 12 and 28. So think about the information that you want to gather. Things like why people choose a type of chocolate bar. Is it the price, the quality, the taste, the packaging? How often people go and buy a bar of chocolate? And maybe what chocolate bars people are buying at the minute. What are the latest craze ones? And then what you do is come up with corresponding questions for the questionnaire. Things like, question number one could be list your top 3 chocolate bar fillings. Question number 2 could be how often do you buy chocolate bars? And then based on that data that you collect, you can start designing maybe a new type of chocolate bar if that was your aim in the first place. Another tip is make sure your questions are well ordered. Build up a rapport with your respondents, ask the non-intrusive questions to begin with, and make sure that your questionnaire flows well. Okay, so questions about similar things should be grouped together. In terms of the language, be aware of who the respondent for the questionnaire is. So use easy language. Make sure that the language is the language of your customer. Keep it reader friendly and make sure that the customer is easily understanding. Don't be using over technical jargon. You might be involved in a certain industry where a certain word means something, but if you put them on paper to the ordinary person, they might be flummoxed altogether. And again, that will kind of skew your data and the results that come out of it. Always think about the type of questions that you put in your survey. So you can click to the next. Yeah. I suppose we would generally use a variety of closed and direct response questions. And these are simple kind of response, yes, no answers. They're extremely easy in terms of collecting the data from them. Also look then maybe for your multiple choice questions. And lastly, the open-ended questions. Include a mixture of them, but what I would say is kind of stick maybe to the multiple choice or the yes, no questions. Don't have too many of the open-ended questions, but I would always say to my students, include at least one sort of open-ended question. And I always say for the open-ended question, try and make sure that it's the pricing strategy question. If you give people an option of, would you pay 10, 12 or 15 euro for this particular product, they'll always go for the lowest price. So if you leave it as an open-ended question, you might be surprised at the answer that you get there. Give a clear estimation as to the length of time that is going to complete your survey. So if a survey takes longer than expected, what you're going to happen is most respondents will get fed up. Okay, they'll just kind of go as far as question 5 or 6 and then throw it by the wayside. So again, at the very start of your question, outline how long it's going to take. Keep it short and simple. Like, let's be honest, nobody, including me and you, has the time to respond to these long time consuming questions. So
Dervilla, I think you could speak all night. I really do. That's a mountain of information there. I really like the idea of keeping your questionnaire simple, telling people it's 5-minute questionnaire and being honest with them, because the amount of questionnaires that never get filled out because you click the next and there's another question and another question.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple.
10 questions, Greg, max. That's all that you need in your actual questionnaire. And then make sure you send it to at least 50 people. We always say try to get 40 respondents. If you send it to 50, you might get 40 back. Those 40 might be filled in and correctly. And again, you know, preview and test your survey before you send it out. You know, sometimes you'll have a survey sent out and then you realise you forgot to add a really important question, or the answer options that you give aren't the correct ones. So it's always better to review your online survey before you distribute it out to anyone. And the very last tip is listen to the results of your questionnaire. Okay, it's the reason you did it in the first place. Act on the response and the results if required. You know, questionnaires and surveys are like the lights of a car. You know, it shows you where you're going. You're not going to drive in the dark, so never carry out a survey and then throw it by the wayside. Take on board everything that's come in from it. Adapt your product, maybe adapt your price, your place, promotion if necessary.
Yeah, listen to your results. Brilliant advice. And we've got a dragon tamer to bring in now very shortly. Caroline's gonna have a quick chat with Sean McGarry. There is a quick question in. Let's get a quick answer to this question. It's from Millie. Millie Hewitt, a big hello. Now, I know what you were typing fast here, Millie, so I know what you're saying. Now, this is probably a good question for Caroline. How could we get sponsorship? So what Millie's talking about is sponsorship for small business that you don't want to be spending money on. How could you go about trying to find a sponsor for your idea?
Well, I think that students have what we call the student factor. And I think a good idea is actually maybe to even send them cold calling, to call to the bank, to the credit union, to see would they be willing to sponsor them. Call to a local entrepreneur. We could listen, we could maybe, you know, work together or collaboratively or show that we sponsored you. So what I'd always say to students is go out there and try it and you learn. And the worst that people can say is no.
If you don't ask, you don't get, Caroline.
You don't get, no.
And I suppose sponsorship that has some kind of synergy with your business idea makes sense. So a local business and something that ties in with your business idea. Great advice. I did say we were going to look at talking to a dragon tamer now. So let's do that. Let's give Sean the intro. Let's give him the quick intro here. We showed this earlier on, but for and as if by magic, there he is.
You're making me blush now, Greg, with that intro.
Okay. Hi, Sean. You're very welcome tonight, and we're absolutely delighted to have you here. Could you tell us a little bit about your company, Shower Gem, and yourself, please?
Yeah, Caroline. So my company is Shower Gem. We're the inventors of the multi-award-winning shower organizer that gives you a neat and tidy place to store your shampoos, soaps, razors. So it's a really simple product. But our business is doing really well. We were on the Late Show with Ryan Tuberty. We were on the BBC's Dragon's Den, and we're selling shower organisers all over the world.
Brilliant, fantastic. And Sean, could you tell us a little bit how you did your actual market research, kind of the whole process and the different methods you did, because that's what we were talking about tonight in our lesson.
Yeah, well, I suppose when we came up with the product, I personally felt it was going to be a really good seller. But at the same time, you can never be sure. What we did was we went and showed to friends and family. The friends and family gave us good feedback, so we said we better take it one step further, because when you get advice from friends and family, it's not real advice. They don't want to upset you. They want to make sure they're being positive and encouraging you in the right way. So we actually got a group of 20 random people together. So it was a mixture of women of all ages, because we felt women would be buying our product, and we asked them a set of questions. Now, when we were actually doing the market research, we wrote out the questions following on from what Dervilla said. So open-ended questions, multiple choice questions. And we actually got someone outside our family to ask
Okay.
If I was asking somebody, what do you think of my shower organizer? What price did it sell at? They'd want to give me positive feedback. Whereas if it's someone other than me, they don't mind being honest and saying, you know what, we don't like that it's made of plastic, or you know what, we love how it has a razor holder. So it's good to try and separate yourself from the market research somewhat, just to get more honest feedback.
Oh, okay, that sounds really, really interesting. And then after doing your research, did you change plans or change tactics, or what happened?
We actually didn't change tactics too much, because we found that what we thought would happen was actually the same as the feedback we got. But what we did realize was that when we brought the product to market, there'd be some parts of our advertising that we need to change to address certain questions. So our product, it comes in 2 parts, like you can see there. Each part holds 3 bottles. An awful lot of people said, you know what, I want it to hold 6 bottles, not 3 bottles. So in our Facebook ads that we went on to do, we made sure to say, you know what, you can use 1 of them in your shower if you have a small house. If you have a few daughters, you can use 2 units to hold 6 bottles. So we made sure that in our advertising, we actually answered the questions that we knew people had asked in the market research.
Okay, so that's really important, looking after the consumer and what they want. And the rust proof, I think, is great as well, because I live here by the sea, and that's a huge problem with the salt and the moisture in the air and everything going rusty.
Yeah, what we found is the being rust proof and not falling off your wall. People really love that. And that actually made the basis for our packaging in retail stores, for our website. As you can see there, rust proof is wrote easy wear, easy clean. And that was things that we learned from the market research.
And where are you going to go in the future? Where do you see the business going, Sean?
And well, already our UK sales and our German sales have outgrown what we do in Ireland. So we're doing an awful lot of exports at the moment. Next up is America. We're actually selling on QVC USA. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Joy, where she sells the spin mop on TV. We're actually doing that for the last few months, and we're seeing great success there. So the idea is to really expand in the US as much as we can, and then hopefully France, Italy, Spain, a few more European countries.
Brilliant. And tonight, what advice would you give to students who are starting off? I know you started off as a young age selling blackberries and different things. I was looking at your profile. What advice would you give to students out there who are starting?
The big thing is to make a start. It's really easy to get excited about something for a day and just to think about it, but you have to actually put those thoughts into action. So I think one of the questions earlier was about how to get sponsorship for a business. It's so easy. When you're a student, just go in, knock on the door, say, this is what we're doing. We'd like you to sponsor us. I remember back in TY, I rose about €2,000 from doing a school magazine. Every business was giving us €100 for a page. So the big thing about business is everyone has an idea. You have to actually go and make the effort to start the process of bringing that idea into reality. So if you have an idea, go and actually do it. Go and try to make it happen. Don't just put words on paper.
Brilliant. And that's what it's all about, really, isn't it, Sean? Making it happen and having that confidence and going out there. Well, you've been such a success, and great that you're a Mayo person as well, and great that you could actually join us here tonight. So now I'm going to pass you over to Greg.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sean, for tonight.
No problem. Thanks, Caroline.
And
I've gone very black. Have I gone very black there?
you've gone very black, Greg.
I don't know why I've gone very black, but there you go. Sean, wonderful words of wisdom. As the Nike swoosh says, just do it. Thanks for joining. So, as I said, I've come back. I'm kind of frozen, but I come back. That's a good sign. So now is this special time when we need to announce some winners, don't we? We need to announce the winner of our teachers competition as well as our student competition. So it's time for a bit of a drum roll. So are we ready? So the winner of the student competition winner from our Facebook page is, are you ready? A huge thank you or a huge congratulations to Roisin Barry, huge congratulations. There you go, as if we didn't want to. And the teacher competition. Let's do the teacher competition. Are we ready? And the winner of our teacher yes, it's Sinead Grady from Monaghan. From Our Lady Secondary School in Monaghan. I kid you not. So, believe it or not, that takes us to the end of tonight's session. And I'm still frozen for some reason, Caroline. Which is
Okay, no problem.
So I don't know. I'm frozen. I'm really dancing up and down, everyone. So that's it for tonight, folks. Remember, you can chat to us live on the studententerprise.ie website between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. So if you have a question, jump on and ask it to us. Keep an eye on social media for our next social media competition coming up soon. So we'll be announcing that over the coming days. And I think I even have details. I'll give you a sneak preview of what that is now. Here we go. So I don't know whether you can see that. So our teacher's prize for the next competition is a Google Nest Mini, just like it was this week. And the student prize is a JML portable Bluetooth speaker. So that's our prize for next week. So keep an eye on our social media site tomorrow and upcoming days for details on that. And I hear you say, what is coming up? What is coming up on the next session, and when is it? I heard you say that. Well, our next live webinar is taking place on November the 2nd at 7 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to be discussing production and intellectual property. So production and intellectual property. So stick that date in your diary. It seems like I've unfrozen, which is pretty good. So November the 2nd at 7 p.m. is our next broadcast. The only thing that's left for me to say is just a huge thank you to our amazing guests tonight. So we have Caroline still there supporting me on screen. We have the amazing, and God, we couldn't shut her up because she was so brilliant. Thank you so much. And then we had the Dragon Slayer himself, Sean McGarry. So guys, thank you so much. Just to remind everyone, the rerun of tonight's session is available to watch in your classroom on YouTube or our Facebook page, or even will be uploaded to studententerprise.ie. So we look forward to watching the rerun of this session in the coming days. So from me, Greg Fry, from Caroline, from Dervilla, it's goodbye. We will see you on the next session. Big last shout out to Kerry. Kerry Student Enterprise Program said hi, so I'm saying hi back, just so you guys know. We'll see you soon. Take care and goodbye.
Bye.
So keep safe and keep innovating.